today we're kind of doing a semi Asian theme of beef and broccoli stir fry, a kale slaw salad, and then we thought it might be fun to do a dessert since we haven't done a dessert in quite some time. We're gonna start with the stir fry, and while that's cooking, we're gonna do the salad because it's really easy. And then we'll do the chocolate mousse last. So, with the stir fry, I got the frozen vegetables and I've already kind of de-thawed them. And so these are gonna cook for about 5 minutes. And while they're cooking, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the vegetables. And so we don't have a wok. So in the saute pan, I have 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm gonna put in the garlic and the vegetables. And the garlic has to saute for a little bit before the vegetables go in. So I think we still have a few lingering people joining us. All right, so the garlic is getting going. Just for the people, I think, who just joined us, we're gonna do questions, comments, things that you wanna see at future cooking classes at the end. So everybody's gonna be muted during class. And we're starting with the beef stir fry. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the vegetables that are already softened. And we just have to cook these until they're cooked through and not frozen anymore, because they're mostly softened, but there's still a couple of hunks of broccoli that are frozen. So when I do stir fries at home, you can do it 3 different ways. The recipe calls for the frozen vegetables that you thaw, which is a great option. You can also chop up your own vegetables. That way you have a little bit more control of what you're putting in there. You can also, like Reese's and Walmart, have fresh, pre-chopped, kind of pre-packaged stir fry vegetables. They also, which I'm using today, have the stir fry beef, which is already pre-chopped up, so you don't have to chop your beef into tiny little squares. You pay a little bit extra for the convenience of having things pre-chopped, but if you're trying to save a little bit of time, it goes a long way. So our vegetables have to cook for about 5 minutes. So I'm gonna start the timer. I know some of you have seen Shen, our new dietitian, who is originally from China, and we had talked before about different dishes that she makes at home, and she said a lot of the times most of their dishes that they make at home are stir fries. So I'm not sure how authentic our stir fry is, but she did give it the seal of approval. So we were excited about that. All right. While these cook, I want to talk to you about some of the ingredients in our salad. I I was unable to find at the research that we go to for cooking class the kale slaw salad. So I got just regular kale and chopped it up a little bit in coarse chunks. And then I got some of the slaw carrot, like this. And I measured out about a cup to add to the salad. The dressing calls for the Splenda Blend brown sugar, because this is one of the recipes that the Diabetes Food have partnered with Splenda on. And one thing you need to be really mindful of is on Splenda Blends, it is sugar as the first ingredient, not Splenda. So if you're looking at the ingredients, it's sugar, molasses, and then the Splenda ingredient. 1 teaspoon is 4 grams of carbs. So normally it would be about a tablespoon as a serving. So if you're using a tablespoon, which this recipe calls for a tablespoon, it is going to be more than 4 grams of carbohydrates. So just being aware, if you get the blends, they are not Splenda mostly, they are mostly sugar. So if you are counting your carbohydrates, you want to be really mindful with these. And another thing with the Splenda to keep in mind is that any kind of low-calorie sweetener, whether it's Splenda, Equal, Truvia, Sweet and Low, they're all taste more sweet than sugar. So it's not a one-to-one conversion on like a tablespoon of regular brown sugar to a tablespoon of the Splenda version brown sugar mix. So be mindful. The bag of the Splenda has a conversion of regular brown sugar to the Splenda blend so that you can convert, but it's not a one-to-one because it's so much sweeter. All right. All right, the vegetables are getting close, so I'm going to put them on a plate and then cook the beef. And while the beef is cooking, we will start on the salad. And the recipe calls for brown rice. I cooked that ahead of time just by the package directions, so no huge secrets there. So there's still some oil left in the pan, and so now I'm just going to add the beef into the skillet. And so I don't know how much you guys can see or how close I can get, but the beef, they have fajita beef. How close can I get? So this is the beef, and so they have fajita versions, which are the long, the long strips. But these are the smaller diced kind of sirloin. So makes life a little bit easier. Kind of break up the chunks and get those going. All right. Let me wash my hands. Okay, so now we're gonna, while that cooks for about 5 minutes, we are gonna start on the salad. So the salad is really easy. Again, this is just kale salad that I kind of roughly chopped. If you can find the kale slaw, that's what the recipe is created for, but it was not available at research yesterday. At least I could not find it. So I have the chopped kale. and I'm just going to add the red bell pepper. And the carrots, and again, I just measured out about a cup of the carrots. And then the green onions. Go and mix carefully. All right. So for the dressing, it wants you to heat up the peanut butter. So I have the 3 tablespoons of peanut butter already melted, and then I'm gonna put it in the microwave for 25 seconds to just kind of soften it so it's not quite as thick. So you can, with the peanut butter, you don't have to microwave it, but it does help when you're mixing it so that it's more of a dressing than a thick peanut butter consistency. So to the peanut butter, we are going to add the oil, the vinegar, the brown sugar Splenda blend, and the garlic, and then the water and soy sauce. And whisk it all together. So I know a few of you guys have been to cooking class before where we've made other salads and different salad dressings, and this is a new one that we haven't done before here. We've never done a peanut butter based dressing, but you can add this to pretty much, if you like it, pretty much any salad. You just want to mix it up, behind the salad until you don't have any more lumps in it, and if the peanut butter is kind of evenly distributed. The peanut butter doesn't quite completely dissolve, so it may look a little speckly, but once it's just mixed in there, it'll be fine on the salad. And so then you're gonna add the dressing to the salad and give it a good toss. I'm just gonna toss that together with the kale and carrots and pepper and onions so that it's kind of evenly distributed. All right, and then you can top the salad with chopped peanuts. And so I'm just gonna, that's 2 tablespoons of chopped peanuts, and then just toss those in it with the dressing. And that's it for the salad. So it's super easy to get together. Salad dressings are something that when you make them, you have a lot of creativity. We have a kind of schematic on how to make your own salad dressings at home. So if you guys stop by Kelly's window, we all have copies of the salad dressing schematic that we can give you. That shows you kind of a basic recipe on how much vinegar, how much oil, spices, aromatics, different things that can go into your salad dressing. So if you guys want that, just stop by Kelly's window and I'll set a few up there for her so that you guys can grab some of those. But this is a really great salad dressing to have. It gives a little different take on what we think of as far as like vinaigrettes and creamier things like ranch dressing. So that is our salad. So let's check on the meat. So it's mostly cooked. Still got a few pieces. So while some of these little guys are finishing cooking, we're gonna whisk together the dressing or not the dressing, the sauce for the stir fry. So I have 1/4 cup of the low sodium chicken broth. And then to that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce and a tablespoon of cornstarch. And one thing to keep in mind when you're looking at things like soy sauce or any low sodium option, keep in mind that low sodium is 25% reduced of the original. So original soy sauce plain has it's like 770 milligrams of sodium. So 1 tablespoon of the low sodium soy sauce still has 590 milligrams of sodium. So it's still a lot of sodium. So if you're watching how much sodium you're having, you want to be really mindful with some of this. This recipe has per serving, which is 1.5 cups of the stir fry beef and vegetables and sauce, and 1/2 cup of rice has 350 milligrams of sodium. So once it dissolves out into the different servings, it's not as bad, but you still want to be cautious if you're watching how much sodium you're getting throughout the day. So to the chicken broth and the soy sauce, I'm going to add the cornstarch and whisk that in. So that there's no lumps and it's nice and smooth. All right. Our meat is like 2 chunks that are not cooked. So I'm gonna let those guys brown up a little bit and add the vegetables back in and then add the sauce. As the sauce heats up and cooks, the cornstarch will thicken, so it will be more of a sauce on the stir fry and not super liquidy. So add the vegetables back in. And then I'm gonna add in the sauce that we just made. So I don't know if anybody read the recipe, but on the recipe, it says to add tomato. There's no tomato in this. I don't know where they came up with that, but you want to cook the sauce, no tomato, until it's thickened and all of the beef and broccoli stir fry are coated in the sauce. And it'll thicken pretty quickly. All right. And so I have brown rice that I have already cooked. You can't really see it real well. But I just cooked it by the package directions. And so for the package, a fourth of a cup is a serving, and that's going to have 35 grams of carbohydrate. So if we're counting carbs, remember a third of a cup of rice, regardless of it's brown rice or white rice, is going to be 15 grams of carbs. So being mindful with how much rice you're having, because that's where your carbohydrate is going to come from. And so if you follow the serving size on the recipe, it calls for half a cup, and we're at about 37 grams of carb per serving for our recipe. So well within everyone's carbohydrate recommendation if they're carb counting. So, all right, my sauce has thickened. I don't know, can I, that way, that one?
Yep.
Okay. So, this is what it looks like. And so the sauce is really thickened up as it heated up. So that is our stir fry. Now we will do our mousse. And this does require eating the chocolate. So I could not find special dark chocolate minis. So we got dark chocolate chips and kind of did a lot of math to figure out that it's about a fourth of the bag to equal the 6 mini chocolates that you would get. So when you're microwaving chocolate, you want to make sure that you stir it frequently so that it doesn't overcook and get the hard chunks so that it stays smooth. So I am going to microwave these and stir them. Grab a spoon. All right, I'm going to start with 30 seconds, and you want to do it in small incremental touches so that you're not overcooking it and that everything stays smooth. All right, and then just stir it around. The bottom is going to melt the fastest. Give it another 30 seconds and give it another stir. But you just want it to be smooth. You really wanted to get fancy, you could definitely do it in a double broiler and melt it that way. But we don't have quite enough time to do the double broiler situation. So microwave it'll be. All right, I'm gonna give it another maybe 10 or so seconds. Still got a few chips in there that need to melt. Nice and smooth. All right, so I am going to get, so I've already whipped the Greek yogurt, and I'm going to get some of the Greek yogurt that we have in the fridge that's cold and add a little bit to the hot melted chocolate so that it's not quite as hot, and so that it tempers it a little bit. All right. So to the whipped yogurt, we're going to add, I'm going to do honey since we didn't have, I thought we had packets this one, but we do not. So I'm going to add honey and the milk and the vanilla to the whipped yogurt. And a teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to give that another mix with the blender. Sorry, this blender is ancient and loud. Alright, and then we're going to slowly add the chocolate little by little to the yogurt. You want to keep the yogurt, if you've ever had mousse, you want it to stay light, so going slow and steady with the chocolate. And I'm going to put the last of this, and we need to add the milk as well. Okay, now we get to build the little parfaits, and so you want to put the chocolate on the bottom, and then I have fat-free Cool Whip, and then some raspberries to go on top. You can definitely do strawberries or whatever fruit you want to go on top of your parfait. So gonna layer it in there, and it should make about 6 portions. They didn't have fat-free whipped cream or Cool Ready Whip at the store either yesterday, so Cool Whip is what we got. And then raspberries on top, and we have a chocolate mousse parfait. So, those are the recipes we have for you guys.